Welcome to our first civil infrastructure webinar for the year. As you know, the theme is BIM for Smart Infrastructure, focusing on conceptual design. Of course, I will be your speaker or presenter for today. I am Shoaib Yunus. I'm the Senior BIM Technical Specialist for Civil Infrastructure and Mining here at Baker Baines. But at Baker Baines, I am involved in a lot of projects like for BIM for Civil Infrastructure, Geographic Information Systems or GIS. So a quick one-slider of who we are as Baker Baines. These are the three main segments that we specialize in: consulting, education, and as well as software and hardware. From a segmentation point of view, at the bottom of the screen, those are the fields that we play in quite a bit. So building, architecture, structural engineering, civil, so horizontal construction, so road, rail, bridges and tunnels, energy, process plant, mining, as well as manufacturing. So with the introduction out of the way, let's look at our content. So the agenda is, of course, building information modeling and civil infrastructure. Basically, how does BIM fit into civil infrastructure? So I'm going to give you a quick intro on that. And thereafter, we're going to jump into the fun stuff, that being BIM for Smart Infrastructure. Of course, we're going to be showcasing Infraworks today, and we're going to be covering those topics on the screen. Right, so let's look at BIM and civil infrastructure and why it is the key to getting your project started off on the right foot. As I had mentioned previously, if your conceptual design is not well thought of, then of course you're going to be carrying that errors throughout the construction of that asset. That is a problem. That's where a lot of variation orders come in, a lot of penalties, a lot of time extensions, delays, and so on. Now on the screen, I've got a really nice picture or infographic that gives you what is possible from a BIM perspective if you are doing infrastructure. So let's say we have the model at the center there, something like that we would like to construct. But if you are using conventional or traditional methods to actually achieve your work, you're going to really battle to coordinate all of those infrastructure that you see on the screen. Now, what we could do, if we apply BIM technologies, workflows, common data environments, and so on, you can incorporate all of that data in the same model, or you could link multidisciplinary models to create a consolidated model. So that can be GIS data, so utilities, so pipe network, services, terrain survey data, whether it be from a drone, reality capture, structural bridges, tunnels, of course, civil engineering like geometric design and so on, platforms, earthworks, and the outputs are actually pretty cool because you're working from a BIM model. You are deriving your data directly from the parametric model. You have the possibility or the capability to do 5D project scheduling. It includes the 3D model, time, as well as cost. So that's how we get 5D. Estimation, documentation, visualization, all are byproducts of the BIM workflow or BIM technology. So estimations, quantities, estimate your cut and fill, your earthworks, your pavement layers, your pipe runs, your structures, documentation for construction. So whether you're doing road design, pipe network, structural engineering, you're doing buildings, bridges, whatever it may be, it's much more automated and much more easier to control. Visualization from a pitching perspective is very critical. And last but not least, it's construction simulation. So you could actually link in your construction program to your 3D model and simply click play. So with that in mind, what are the actual advantages of conceptual design? So if you didn't catch what I said, I have summarized it very quickly in point form. The biggest one is the reusable design data that you have. You have no silo effect, meaning if you do a conceptual design, you don't have to start again from zero when you reach the detailed engineering phase. You could simply import or link that data and continue your design. Second one is intelligent design functionality from the get-go. You're going to see a little bit about it shortly, but like if you can incorporate GIS, reality capture, cloud computation, watershed analysis, corridor optimization, I mean, all of this in a conceptual arena, and you can also be much more economical, much more sustainable, and so on. Parametric design is the way to go. It's dynamic. It's much more easier to adjust the dimensions of elements, get the quantification correct, and it's much more easier to pick up a mistake, especially if you're working in a 3D environment. The visuals are really amazing. I mean, you can go up to like 4K, 8K now. You can do a lot of animations, a lot of fly-throughs, and it's really an amazing way to pitch your design and visualize it before it actually is constructed. The integration is also a very big advantage where you can integrate the operability across different file formats, different technologies, different ways of working, systems. And you can see now the several options. You can do multiple options in one model. Like before you needed to create 5 models, or you create one, save as option 1, save as option 2. Now we could use the same base model and we can incorporate multiple options in that same model. So it saves you a lot of time. GIS and point clouds, I don't have to really explain that, but if you've been on a construction site and you hit a service that you never knew was there, you really wish you had GIS there. And of course, point clouds for the latest conditions on site. And last but not least is definitely cloud computing, the integration of the cloud, the common data environment, the analysis that it gives you. It helps you and affords you with a lot of intelligence and computational analysis softwares. So first of all, as you saw in the poll, over 40% don't know what Infraworks is, and maybe more people don't know how it actually fits in. Maybe you're using it on its own, but how does it fit into the grand scheme of things? I'm showing you here, it's part of the Autodesk Architecture, Engineering and Construction collection, so the AEC collection. And you'll see there it is there. Now the advantage with these bundle of software or BIM technologies, you can interlink them and like collaborate across them quite seamlessly. And Infraworks fits in with the 2 main softwares, I would say, or the hero products in the infrastructure industry, that being Civil 3D and Revit. So how does it work? Right, let's have a look. So here we have Infraworks. Now Infraworks can link to Civil 3D and Revit quite easily. If you're not familiar, in Civil 3D you have an Infraworks tab, believe it or not. A lot of people, especially when they come for training, have not noticed this. This has been out there for years, and you can actually import and launch Infraworks directly from Civil 3D. Of course, you will have to have it installed on your computer. And then, of course, you've got Revit. Where does Revit fall in? From the civil structures workflow, if you're doing or dealing with bridges and tunnels, or if you have any architectural designs, you can actually coordinate it between Civil 3D and Revit and get the positioning correct on Infraworks. So you can actually see the visual model between the 2. Now, what about the rest of the AEC collection? Now, I've just highlighted the main ones, but those are all of the BIM technologies that you can actually bring in to Infraworks. So Recap Pro from a point cloud perspective, RCP files, Navisworks, NWD files. Advanced Steel is AutoCAD based, AutoCAD products, no problem. 3ds Max, FBX files, Format Pro. Now, where do these technologies go? Pretty easy. If you open up Infraworks and you go to data sources, these are all of the file integrations that you can bring in. You can see it's quite a long list. SketchUp users, if you have really cool 3D models that you don't want to duplicate, you can bring in SketchUp files. SQLite, if you're working on SQL, depending on what data you have, you can bring that in. Land XML, raster, IFC, which is in line with the open BIM standards that's currently happening in industry, and so on. Okay, so now that you know where it fits in, let's get started with our showcase for today. So the first step is creating a 3D model. So this is Infraworks 23, as you can see on the screen. Now, out of the box, we can actually start by using the cloud. So the Autodesk Construction Cloud, you can see it there. If you simply click on it, it will bring up your last project. You can also go and toggle on it. But I know most users don't start on the cloud. So what we're going to do is we're going to work locally. And what we're going to do is we're going to make access of the amazing feature called Model Builder in Infraworks. Now, when you do open it, it will probably pick up your location. Sometimes it might show America. So you can just type in the address that you want to work in. In this case, I'm using the Hartbeespoort Dam. I have used this in quite a lot of my previous webinars because it's a really cool data set to actually demonstrate the point, and you can actually go and create your own, as you can see it here. Now, it does have a cap on the model size, 200 square kilometers, which is quite a huge model. And of course, if you exceed it, it will give you a heads up. So let's say I am quite happy with this extent of my model. I can now go and assign a coordinate system. Now, if you do get stuck, you can always click the help button on there, and it gives you an idea, or it explains how you could go assign a coordinate system. By default, it is set to LL84, but we're going to change it to the South African coordinate system. So whichever country you're working in or the project is in, you can go and select it from this list. In this case, it is based in South Africa, and we got the Hartbeespoort 94 coordinate system, which is the current one, and it falls under LO27. And then we simply click Create Model, and the cloud does the rest. Now, this is the amazing cloud functionality that's part of BIM Technologies. So it will start processing it. Sometimes it might take a few minutes. I think depending on the size of the area and the infrastructure that it picks up. This one, I think, probably took me about 6 minutes to get, and you'll see that it'll give you a heads up. You'll receive an email to say your model's done, go and check it out. And you can see now when we come here, there it is. So it's called BIM for Smart Infrastructure. I'm given the option to work on the cloud or locally, and I'm going to select local. But I'm going to show you, once you work on your desktop or your PC or laptop, whatever it may be, you can go and then sync it to the cloud after that. So it's not a problem if you start locally, right? So now it will start opening your model. Again, it can take a few minutes. This one took a few seconds, right? So now it will start opening up the model, and you might see these tiles that will appear, loading the extent of the aerial imagery and the data that it picks up on the web. And this is the result. You can see we've got a pretty decent sized model on here. Okay, that is actually quite a big model. And it was done with, I would say, zero human intervention. All you have to do is specify the location and the coordinate system. And this is what it brought in. As you can see, it brought in placeholder for roads. We call them planning roads. Those are not up to like engineering standards, or it might be depending on the survey data that it brought in, but it gives you relative positioning. Now, if we look at the engineering view, just to show you, it does give you a conceptual terrain data that it picks up. All right, so it will search its geospatial engines online and will bring in the terrain data that you can use to get started on your design, rather than you waiting for the surveyor. And as you can see, the more you zoom in, the more you'll be able to see the contour spacing, right? So it might reduce or it might increase depending on the level of zoom that you're in. And now we have our model and we can get started. Now just imagine how you would probably do this. You would normally go into Google Earth, you'll draw an elevation or polyline on the actual, if you're doing a road, you wanted to get an elevation, you'll take that snapshot and place it into your maybe feasibility report or conceptual report, but you can't use that data. Already, I've got a visual model that's 3D, it has a terrain data, it has relative positioning, it has aerial imagery. I'm already way ahead of the curve, and we're still in conceptual design. A lot of consultants, unfortunately, can't even get here during the detailed design phase, and we've got it in a few minutes. All right, so now that we have the model, how do we propose multiple options? Because I don't want to go and create this model again, even though it took a few minutes to do, which was quite easy. Can I use the same model to portray different design intents? Yes, we can. So let's have a look. On the top where you can see master, please do not work on that. That is your original base model. And let's say in this case, we are going to be doing, we've got a project where we're going to be putting in 2 bridges. One is going to be at this location and one is going to be somewhere else. Now you can see I am adding a proposal. I'm going to call it option 1 for bridge, whatever you want to call it. Remember, there's no spaces in the title box, so you might have to use an underscore or one word. And I'm going to create a bookmark at this location. So probably we as the engineers, we are sitting and thinking, okay, do we put a bridge here or do we put it on the other end? Now we can do both of those options in the same model, right? If you make a mistake, you can always delete a bookmark. It's pretty easy. So we've got now what is the advantage of a bookmark? Let's say you've got a huge model. If I click on the bookmark, it's going to take me right there. because otherwise you're going to be zooming and panning for a lot of time. Now let's say this location here is going to be for bridge 2. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to add another proposal. I'm just going to change that to option 2. There we go. Hit OK, and now we are ready to go. So remember, create your proposals as many as you'd like. Do not work in your master model. I can't stress that enough, because whatever data you create in the master model is carried forward throughout your future proposals. And of course, if you duplicate from option 1, all the data that is in option 1 is going to come through. So here we are, we've got both the locations of our bridge sorted out, and I can add many more as the project goes along. So now we are all set to start with our conceptual design. If you are using Infraworks, what can you actually create from a civil infrastructure point of view? We can do roads, we can do structures, we can do pipes, we can do a lot more. I'm going to show you how to model roads, structures, and pipes very quickly. So let's start off with roads and bridges. Now, this is normally the complicated one, or is seen as a complicated area. So the first thing is we are in option 1, as you can see on the screen. Okay, so make sure you are in the correct place. There we are. And let's say we're going to start and we're going to end somewhere there. Now you can have the exact X and Y coordinates. I'm just placing it in here. And I would, the pro tip that I would give you is to start off with planning roads. Why planning roads? Especially if you are new, it's much more easier to draw. I prefer being in a plan view or on a top view. And there are a lot of built-in styles that we can use to generate the road. As you can see here, we've got quite a long list. Can you create your own custom styles? Of course you can. But the out-of-the-box ones are pretty neat to use, and you can also modify them later if there's a bit of additional stuff in there. So let's say I'm going to use the boulevard with Palms Street. That's the name of the style. Now all I've got to do is find my starting location. Now, I'm going to do something here intentionally because I've got this quite a bit in the past from users starting with Infraworks. As you can see, I started from that intersection point, that T-junction there. And now all I'm going to do is start plotting my road. Now you can see with the planning road, it's much more easier to just draft your road. Okay, so I would strongly recommend, if you are starting off with it, start using the planning roads if you are new with Infraworks. And let's say we are going to end maybe somewhere there. Okay, so we're going to reach the end. And once we do that, it will start processing and we'll update that based on the style that we had selected, that being the Palms style, boulevard with palms. And if I close this now, we can go have a look at what was generated. So as you can see, we've got a 4-lane road. It's split with a median, 2 lanes in either direction. But this is what we normally get. You can see the intersection's not looking great. Please don't design stuff like this. But I'll tell you why that happens. So I've done it intentionally. If you look at the lane widths that are coming in from both those roads, they're completely different to what's happening here. And the difference in widths are vast. That's why you're getting something like that. Also, if your road sinks in like this, please zoom in because there are 2 grips. The triangular grip is for the elevation and the square grip is for your horizontal placement. A lot of people select the triangular grip and that's why your road falls. Right, so you can see if I adjust that, I can either type in the exact Z elevation or move it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drape it to the existing natural ground level. Right, so once we have that, how would the intersection look? So if I select the square grip, now Infraworks is so intelligent that as soon as it picks up the 2 alignments are intersecting, it will put in a best guess intersection. Now in this case, the guess wasn't that great, or it actually was, but the lane widths of the corresponding roads are not that great. But you can see if I move it here, it says, okay, now that I've just got a straight to tie in, I can fit it in quite nicely. I can maintain the width of that road and I can fit it in here. Can I modify this? Of course I can. Not yet, because it's currently in the planning stage of a road. So planning roads are very easy. If you're the person just want to put together a quick mock-up or a quick type of scenario that you would like to illustrate, planning roads are the easiest to go. And as you can see here, we've got the same story. But this story is different because you can see it's just a straight road, so it should be able to intersect correctly. All you have to do is just move your vertice and we'll play around with it so that it is intersecting correctly, and you can see it at update. So now we have our road put into place. You can see we can't really edit anything. We can change it, we can give it a name if we would like, but for now we're just going to leave it as it is, and it is just representing where the road is going to be, and we are now going to convert it to a component road. A component road allows you to edit individual components. So as you can see here, if I now select a lane, I can go and change its attributes, its width, its slope, its depth, and so on, the material, whatever you may be. So that's why we call it component roads, because you can edit components individually. Same with the trees. If I don't want the trees, I could delete them. If I wanted to adjust the spacing for them, I could. So let's say it's 60. You can see it's instant. And of course, we can go and swap components. There's a huge library, a really nice library in Infraworks that you can make use of. And of course, you can import your own 3D models if you'd like. If you have access to them, you can go and import them, add them to your library, and you can make use of them. I'll just show you very quickly how you can swap things. So let's say in South Africa, we normally don't have light poles like that. Maybe in the area that you're working, it's not that suitable. We can go and look at what's available in the out-of-the-box library. A great thing with this webinar is I'm using everything that's in your library. I don't have anything customized here. So whatever you're seeing on here, you can do it out of the box on your own computer. So let's say we're going to go and select a light pole, and you can see that's more apt for our environment. If it is facing the wrong way, use the asset card to modify it accordingly. So I will just flip it around, and there we are. And I could go do it on the other side, and good to go. So that's a little bit about the road part. So what we've done is we've got it to the component level of things, and now we're going to get a bit more detailed. So now we can insert the bridge. You've got the structure panel in Infraworks. All it's asking us to do now is to select or specify the start and the end of the road. You could type in an exact change, or you could simply click. Of course, I'm going to simply click here because I'm just demonstrating it to you. And let's say it's going to end maybe somewhere there. Right, it'll take a few seconds to just refresh. As you can see, sometimes you might get this depending on the graphics on your computer or the size of your bridge or how full your disk space is. Sometimes you might just need to move around the model a little bit and we'll select something and it goes back to normal display. And the great thing now is with component roads, I have a vertical alignment or a vertical profile. I can go and adjust this. So let's say we're not seeing the piers and stuff because it's sitting on the road surface. I could go simply play around with the VPIs and it will update. So I can go and raise it. So in this case or this example, I'm going to raise it quite a bit so that you can see the bridge quite nicely just for this demonstration. Okay. I'm also got a yellow tracker to show me exactly where I am on my roadway. Okay, so that also helps. So you can see the positions of the VPIs relative to where you are tracking on plan or on the top of the screen. And again, I'm just going to raise this so that you can actually notice the elevation of the bridge and also look at the parametric components that you will see shortly. Please do not make roads with 20% grades. But of course, you can go and edit it. Okay, so don't judge me. I'm just using the clicks very quickly just to give you an idea or a hang of how you could actually manipulate it to your own advantage. So you can go and type in exact data. But just remember, we're still in the conceptual stage here, and we have all of this air quotes detail engineering functionality already. So here we are. Once I hit update, here we go. We've got our bridge, looks beautiful. So if I had to go and select any of the components, so here we are, let's go and just select maybe here. So this pier is pier 18. I can go to adjust the metadata that's associated to it, the material, and so on. And again, I've got my road. You can see the start of that elevation. That kink is not great. Done that intentionally, so show you that you 3D modeling to confirm your design. If you do make a mistake, you can actually see it quite easily. We've got our bridge in, done and dusted. Now let's look at doing the second bridge. So option 2, if I switch on there, right? It will take me to the location. You can see it's nothing there. And if I switch back to option 1, it's not there. Why? Because it is not part of this proposal. Now you can see in option 2, I already dropped in a bridge. You can see it's got a different design. It's got guardrails. It's got the lighting in the center. It's got the plow caps at the bottom and so on. So that's what I'm saying. It is the same model. We just got different options. If I switch back to option 1, you will see that option 1 does not have that bridge. You can see I'm in the same location. And if I go back to the option 1 bridge, it is there. Can you combine them over time? Of course you can. But that gives you an idea to show you how you can segment your design. Okay, so roads and bridges done and dusted. Let's look at intersections and roundabouts very quickly. So I've just drawn in a few roads. I've actually created a bookmark for it called roads. Here we go. And let's say we're going to go plot in some roads. I'm going to use the planning road type of scenario. You can go and select whatever style you want. I'm just going to keep it kind of uniform. We can simply just go and plot the type of roads. Now I'm just clicking wildly here, okay, just for demonstration purposes. So you can see I've got my straight road done and dusted quite easily. And if I had to go and drop in maybe another road, I'm going to go there and I'm going to continue clicking. I'll just maybe use the outline of this existing dirt tracks on here just to give me a bit of a guide. But let's maybe create like a loop going across. This will just give you an idea as how easy this is. So we drop in the road. Again, you can go and add. You can see the box pops up for you to type in an exact value. And if I close this, let's go see what it did. It actually put a really decent intersection in there, right? So we've got a T intersection and we've got a four-way. I put a four-way in simply because people always say, you don't show a four-way intersection. I've also got a lot of different macros to help me adjust either the elevation or the horizontal placement of this road. You can see it's quite intelligent. And if you're looking at what I did there, you might see this on the road or in the highway that you're driving through where you've got embankment sometimes and a road going under. I'm just going to undo that. You've got a really good option base for you if you are doing geometric design. So we can go and then change it. Of course, if I don't want the style, just to show you the library, because I didn't show you this previously. Here we are. You've got asphalt, you've got brick, you've got bridge. Like I said, this is just focusing on the basics out of the box. So if I wanted to maybe update this, I could simply go and select either a different road, or I can just leave it as it is. I just showed you that if you do change it, you can see it did update, and it updated intelligently because you can see it still maintained that dynamic or intersection link with the corridor. So I'm just going to undo that very quickly, and this is what we have. Now, if we wanted to modify the geometric parameters of this, we'll first need to convert this. Now, currently, it is on a planning road, so I'm going to convert that very quickly. I will have to do it for both the intersecting alignments. You can't do it just for one, because you want full access to modifying that geometry around them. Right, so once we've done that, you can see it already puts in the line marking. We can go and adjust that as well. Now, when you select the intersection, you can actually specify the design vehicle. So let's say I'm going with maybe that truck there or that trailer there. You will see that the radii adjust to accommodate that truck, right? So it's based on AASHTO standards. As you can see, I can also use my own discretion and use the grips like CAD to update certain portions of the intersection if I would like. Same with the line marking, I can go and edit that accordingly, the attributes for the junctions or for the bell mouths. Right, so you've got this here. If I wanted to change this to roundabout just to see what it would look like, let's go and do that. I could simply upgrade that or step it up to a roundabout to see what it will give me. That's quite oversized depending on your land constraints, how much you have available. But we can go and adjust this if we'd like, or we could go and change the type of roundabout standard that we are using, and it will adjust accordingly. So if you are a CAD person and you like using the grips, more than welcome to do that. If you are more on the automated side of things, you can go use the standard. So here currently we got the FHWA, the Federal Highways Design Criteria, or what you could do is use it as a base here. take it into Civil 3D, and then get it to whatever standard you'd like. You can see it's not going to work all the time. That looks terrible. So please use your engineering discretion here and use something suitable. Right, so that is a quick preview of intersections and roundabouts. Now, what about pipe networks, right? So we've got a lot of options here. So we've got culverts. Culverts are pretty neat. I'm going to do this very quickly. Let's say we've got a culvert going across here. Again, you don't have to be 100% exact when you're in concept stage, but I mean, the more precise you are, the better, right? And here we are. We've got the head wall with the culvert going through it. Can we see it because it's going below ground? Of course we can. We can simply switch the view. Engineering view highlights the infrastructure, and as you can see, it is below ground, and I've got my culvert running there with the head walls and the wing walls over here. I can go and adjust this based on the skew angle, on the height, on the elevation, where there is a slight, of course, there will be a slight slope, depending on which way it's draining to. And yeah, I mean, you can go and adjust this however you would like to get it much more accurate. You can also change the catalog that's based in the out-of-the-box library. You can go adjust the quantification, whether it's circular, whether it's box. I mean, there's so many options that you have at your disposal. Does that mean if you do a pipe network, you can go below ground and have a look at it? Absolutely, you definitely can. You can see even the Manning's coefficient is there for hydraulic analysis if you would like to take it for further. And this is how it looks visually. So this is below ground. We can go and have a look at our data and make use of it accordingly. So yeah, that is a quick one, all the culverts. Of course, I can extend it, I can edit it as I would like, just to show you very quickly. You can see because it's parametric, everything moves along with it. Now, if you had to do this in AutoCAD or something that's static, you would have to make sure that you selected every single component and then moved it. So that's a quick one on the actual culvert. What about normal pipelines? This one I'm not going to spend too much time on. You can simply go and plot that in like you would do in CAD. So you simply go and click wherever you'd like. I'm just going to drop it in here very quickly, and you'll see that it draws in the pipeline. Can you join adjacent branches or branches that are linking to the main outfall or wherever it may be? Yes, you can. So again, you can go and drop this below ground. Again, I'm doing this very quickly. If I had to add another pipe here, maybe that's feeding into that pipe to the outfall, you'll see that it automatically links it quite nicely. So yeah, if you want to do a quick pipe layout for conceptual visualization or representation, you can go and use this on here. You can add in connectors. I don't see a lot of people adding this in for conceptual design, and I probably guess why. But you can go and add it. What it does is it looks as spheres at the points where the connectors will need to be. So that's why you've got like a blue circle, green circle, and so on. And then you can go and click at the point and it will normally insert. Okay, we're almost at the home stretch. Buildings and city furniture. So if you want to add additional parametric objects or placeholders to your model, you are more than welcome to. And we call that city furniture in Infraworks. Okay, so it's under the Environments tab. You have a ton of things that you can actually add. Now, city furniture is a big library of 3D objects that you can use, whether it be from landscape architecture, construction, residential, architectural, civil, visualization. I mean, there's so many objects on here. I can't give you a full list of it because it's quite a lot. But you can go and simply type in or search to see if there's something that you're looking for. So let's say I wanted to insert a car on this road. Maybe I want to take a really cool photo, use it in a report for presentation. I can go and simply select whichever car I would like. Again, if you have more, you can download them or add them to the library. And I'm going to insert that car. I could type in an exact angle or use the CAD grips, up to me. And here we are. You could simply adjust it. You can make it bigger or keep the scale and just adjust the vertical profile. So I can just raise this so that it looks pretty decent for the photo, and that's pretty cool for visualization. And then of course we can go create a snapshot of this. We can angle our camera however we would like it to be, and we can go and take a snapshot. So you can go and take your photos from there. Right, so it looks pretty decent, I would say. If I wanted to add, let's say, other objects, maybe a building. Let's say your architect or your landscape architect, and you know that there's going to be a structure that's going to be going somewhere here. I could just add a placeholder. A placeholder can be any type of building with a facade. So when you are presenting, you can say, hey, listen, based on the development, there's going to be this structure. It's roughly shaped like this. We don't have the architectural design yet. It's still in concept or brainstorming phase, but it's going to be positioned here. And we can then simply go and drop it in. This works for a lot of different things. I'm just using the built environment as an example because that's normally like if you're doing urban development or like a residential estate or something like that, or government building, you need a layout like this. And then of course you can go and tap in your services, utilities, and so on. So yeah, very easy to use, and you can really have a lot of fun with this. The great thing with the facade, it is parametric. So if I drop it or raise it, it will scale it accordingly, as you can see there. Additional functionalities, very quickly, you have a lot of different things that you can go and test drive in Infraworks, especially with the 2023.1 updates. There's some really cool features that they've added. There's also analysis that can be carried out from a profile, corridor, traffic, structural, as well as drainage you've already seen. Watershed also is pretty cool, and you can also create rainfall. And of course, you can go in, either export your model, create videos, take snapshots, and so on. And remember, you have access to a lot of different file formats that you can import into Infraworks. Right, last but not least, incorporating the Autodesk construction cloud. So now we've got our design. Remember, we started it out on the desktop or your computer, wherever it is locally. How do we get it to the cloud? So first thing is you need to set up the project on your Autodesk Docs. Now, if you have AEC collection, you already have Autodesk Docs. You don't need to purchase it. It is included in the collection. So you can go simply in there, log in with your profile, create a project. You can see I'm giving it a BIM for Smart Infrastructure, keeping it simple, put in your project number, whatever it might be. And then you can go and link it to whichever account. So if you're part of multiple hubs, you'll be able to see that there. And then of course you can go select what type of project type. You can create your own custom ones. We created one called demonstration project. You can type in an address. If it's a very popular space, it might pick it up. Go and use enter address manually. Select whatever country you're in, and then add your project data. You're going to see why in a bit, right? You can add in the address, fill in everything right now. You can even put in the start date of your project, end date, and so on. And of course, the estimated project value, and create project. That's it. You can add the people or your team to your project if you'd like. In this case, it's just me for now. I would access my Docs subscription, and we are good to go. We can then go and create a folder structure if we'd like. We can go and add members. We can put in permissions for the Autodesk Construction Cloud. I mean, it goes on and on. Once we switch to the document management interface, I will go into my project, and I can simply add folders. And you can go and type in your folder. So here we are, I've got my folder. I got one created for Infraworks model under conceptual design. Now I know where my file is going to be sitting. So with that done, I switch to Infraworks. You can see the computer icon shows you that it is still local. It doesn't have a cloud icon. On the top, next to the Autodesk Docs button, we've got now a sync button. And I can now go and select which hub I'm working on. And then I can also specify as to which options I want to upload. Maybe I only wanted to do option 1 for the bridge. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and upload everything to that conceptual design folder. You can see there we are. We've got Infraworks model, and I'm going to tick that, just tick everything. And if I wanted, I could put in notes, but I'm going to type publish. It will start publishing and syncing that model to the cloud. And once it is done, let us go and see if it is there. Might take a few minutes, again, depending on the extent of your model, also internet speed, whatever it may be. And once it is done, if we go and look now, it will tell you, okay, cool, it was successful. And believe it or not, this model now that you're viewing is actually cloud-based. How do we know that? If I go to Infraworks now, you can see it is switched to a cloud icon. So now it is on the Autodesk Construction Cloud for document management. So this is the dashboard. Once I log into Autodesk Docs, this is why I say it's cool to add in the address, because it will give you the weather data on the Autodesk Construction Cloud. All right, so in closing, we did cover quite a bit in quite a short time. Today's key takeaways are this. You can already see how versatile Infraworks is in the AEC workflows, how easy it is to create a 3D site model like in a few minutes, that's visual, has aerial imagery and relative positioning of surrounding infrastructure, how we can create multiple design options using one model. We demonstrated that by using the two bridges at two different locations. We can also add in engineering components such as roads, structures, and pipes, as well as placeholders and other animate objects that we would like. By the way, you can even add animated objects. And last but not least, you can take your projects to a common data environment that is synced to the cloud. And the great thing with that is someone doesn't need to have the software to view the model. So they could simply log into Google, open up Google, log into the Autodesk Construction Cloud, the document management, click open, whether it's on their phone, whether it's on their PC, laptop, they would be able to view your model in 3D as you would see it in Infraworks, and they could create comments or markups and whatever it may be. All right, so how can we help you? So based on what you've said, those of you, majority of you already know who we are, but here at Baker Baines, this is our motto. We solve our customers' problems through digital transformation, helping them to design and make a better world. And just to make it quite simple, how can we actually help you? So the first thing is we can help you get started. So we can upskill your teams, yourself on the basics and fundamentals. This can be on any BIM technology of your choice, so we can have a chat about it. This can be done via training. We do have an authorized training center. Also, there are multiple other ways, but I think training is the best way to go. The second way is exploring workflows. Now, the civil structures workflow is really, it can get quite detailed, especially with the 2023.1 updates and 2023.2 updates across the Civil 3D and Infraworks softwares. So we can actually help you to get started or get up to speed with these workflows. They're a bit of an advanced nature, so you should have some basics in the technologies that you would like to use. We call that a specialist series type of engagement where we focus only on core topics. So if you don't do, for example, water engineering or pipe networks, there's no need for you to focus on that. Maybe you're just a transportational specialist. And last but not least is project-based. So if you have a project and you feel BIM technologies are actually going to help you, the workflows, the processes are going to save you and your team, we can have a chat about doing some consulting and implementation with you. The great thing with these type of scenarios is you get the work done and you learn at the same time. So with correct scheduling and planning, this can be done. And of course, if you are looking for localized content, so we've got something transformation tools that we have recently launched. All of our webinars and a lot of helpful tools are on there for you. So go and check it out. It's just a quick snapshot from what's currently on there. It's constantly being built. So there are a lot of different courses that you can go have a look at and make use of. All right, if you wanted to reach us at Baker Baines, those are all of our handles, our website, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, as well as YouTube. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining this webinar. It might be a bit of an information overload for a few of you, might be quite insightful for those that have used Infraworks but didn't know its possibilities. We hope to see you for the next webinar in the near future.